Alright, now the way I like to start out our show is by explaining just a little bit about who we are and what exactly it is we're doing here. Now what you're standing in is one of two traditional sideshows left touring with live performances in the entire world. 100 years ago, there's about 10,000 shows similar to this all across the United States. There's been several reasons for the downfall of the sideshow industry, one of which is actually sitting right outside. The carnival owners realized it'd be much cheaper to hire these mechanical rides instead of live theater-based performances like what we do. And that wasn't bad enough. In the 1960s, there was a movement of political correctness that tried to get the freaks out of the freak show. Now, freaks are people we see on those display boards back in that corner. People born with something noticeably different about them that made them not blend in with the rest of the crowd. And what these shows would do is they take these people, put them up on stage, and celebrate their differences. Instead of keeping it hidden or swept under the rug, they taught these people to be proud of who they were, and that it was okay to be unique. Unfortunately, these shows were misunderstood. People thought that maybe they were forced up there, or that these shows were exploiting them because it would call out their differences to an audience. But the key factor they failed to realize was that in most cases, the freaks owned the entire show. They were putting themselves on stage, and they were making the most money doing it. They had the best living conditions and were the most respected in the industry, while people who perform the working acts, like what we're about to do, were not so much. See, the difference is we have to train our bodies in order to do anything strange or bizarre, but the freaks were born with the gift of already being bizarre and perfect for this kind of work. The term freak wasn't derogatory, it didn't hurt their feelings or anything like that. It was a compliment. These people were thought of as superhuman or like Hercules because they're born in such a peculiar way. However, the freaks were stripped of this gift. In the name of political correctness, protesters began to come to the shows. They brought signs, they made a lot of noise, and created a lot of controversy around the sideshow. Within a few short years, these shows were no longer socially acceptable. People didn't want to come see the freaks anymore like they used to, because they were being told now that it was harming them when they did so. And so the people stopped coming. And due to poor ticket sales, these shows started to go out of business one by one, until we're down to so few shows left. This was especially devastating for the freaks because most have spent their whole lives on the road working for these shows. So for them, they're not only becoming jobless, but also homeless. It led to many terrible things, addiction, depression, and even ended some of their lives. So for these reasons, generation after generation, these shows have disappeared from our culture almost altogether. You guys can come here close to the stage and perform for everybody. But what we're trying to do here is to revive the sideshow. So we're a group of 5 college students that have created a show comprised of 10 live acts you would have seen 100 years ago when sideshow was in its height. And we're doing so in an attempt to preserve this art form. This is the only art form indigenous to America. Also the last place you're going to see these kinds of things in person. A glasswalker, a contortionist, a fire eater. Here with your eyes on this stage. Not on television, not on some sort of computer screen, but live right here, in this tent tonight. So with that, we would like to thank the Stewart Arguments Fellowship of Bowling Green State University for their financial support. And Logan J. Cotton now presents Spirit Circus Sideshow. And now for our first act, if you please turn your attention to this chair right over here. Now what we have for you all is an electric chair. We're going to have Edmund operate this for us, turning it off and on. And to prove its power before we start, we're going to take this fire-eating torch, dip it into some of the fluid we use for fire eating. And if Edmund would be so kind as to turn on this chair. Please welcome out Natalie Guerrillo. Now, Natalie came to our sideshow after being struck by lightning at a very young age. And since that time, she's actually become a human conductor of electricity because of her immunity towards it. Now, this means she can withstand amounts of electricity that would be harmful to most people. And she can manipulate it and harness it to do some pretty amazing things. Now, the first we're going to do is use the same torch, same fluid, but instead of using the metal of the chair, Natalie will burst this into flames with simply the flick of her finger. Fire from her fingertips. And now for this next part, can I have someone please inspect this fluorescent light bulb? You want to check out the ends, make sure there's no buttons or trick switches, any way for that bulb to turn itself on? Alright, thank you. Now to further prove her strange powers, we're going to turn off the lights in the tent so everyone be careful. And with simply the touch of her skin, Natalie will light this bulb. Natalie Guerrillo.
Now, for this next part, I need a volunteer from the audience. Someone preferably over 18. How about you, ma'am? Come on up.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Now, do you have any heart problems whatsoever? If you could please stick out one of your fingers for me, one without a ring. Thank you. Now, if you folks look closely, you might be able to see purple sparks traveling through our fingertips.
Our electric lady, Natalie Garilio.